On the hour.
What you mustn't do in politics is listen to people.
The painful business. On Radio 4.
Such is politics.
Let us be proud of what we have accomplished.
He's an appalling failure, and he's committed many crimes.
On the hour with Christopher Morris.
Hello from me, Christopher Morris, and from me. And throughout tonight's program, we'll keep you abreast of events as they unwrinkle. But first,
the headlines.
Life Pier in wind tunnel disaster, international string lengths agreed, and Sri Lankan diplomat expelled for copying rice.
On the hour.
Plus, coming up, Margaret Thatcher explains why she went and shot all the Queen's dogs.
They came out in the streets in the hundreds of thousands. They weren't going to let go. They weren't going to let go.
And tonight's feedback campaign from you, the public, the law.
Right, today we're looking at the death penalty.
Death penalty, yes.
What do you think should be the penalty for death?
I think in some cases you should hang them.
So if you die, you should be hanged?
Yes.
And since we've been on the air, 7 more extraordinary moments have happened. Because of this, On the Hour will tonight be going out continuously. And reaction to those events has been immediate.
Finger.
Paddy Ashdown, President Bush,
Overall.
and David Steele.
Tentacles.
But, said Mr. Major.
But.
And I'm joined now on the telephone by reporter Jed Boyce, who's standing next to the hole out of which the events are emerging. Hello, Jed.
Good afternoon, MFI French Stores Gas Reading. How can I help you?
Jed, what's the latest?
Sorry?
What's the latest in the situation down there?
In respect of what?
The developing situation as it happens.
Oh, well, this promotion at the moment...
Yes?
He finishes the 28th of this month.
And who's going to be in charge when it finishes?
Mr. Morgan.
Is anyone with you at the moment?
We've got a Mr. Humphreys.
Would it be worth my while speaking to him?
Okay, if you could hold, please.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Humphreys speaking.
Good afternoon. Can you tell us any more?
Concerning what, sir?
Perhaps you could just tell me what you can see.
What's in front of me at the moment?
Yes.
Full war, sir.
Is there anybody there with a gun? Hello? Oh, go away.
On the hour. The world in a tablet.
It's 2-1. You're listening to On the Hour.
On the hour.
On the Hour. And because of today's events, it's time for environmental news.
Green Desk.
Green News update from me, Rosie May. Events diary for this week. On Monday, there's a bat workshop and optional roost visit in Marlow. Meet at 7 p.m. by the pond. Those of you in Kilmarnock can enjoy a guided ramble round Boddock's Quarry, including a chance to draw, paint or sculpt your favourite part in the gravel workings.
Green Desk.
The town of Whitstable in Kent is to host a Don't Drop Litter Day. People will come from all over the country bringing large amounts of everyday litter, such as sweet wrappers and Coke tins, but not drop them. They'll carry the litter around the town, waving it proudly, and then take it home with them again. Anyone dropping some of their litter will be given a light-hearted comedy forfeit and have their heads shaved and tattooed with the words, "Enemy of Planet Earth."
On the hour. Leaves the apple to ripen on the bough, then harvests it at tremendous speed.
Steve Hyness with that report. Meanwhile, the speed of recent events has increased to 130. And in the last minute, we've just heard that we've received the rest of today's sports news with Alan Partridge.
Sports Desk, I'm Alan Partridge. The World Snooker Championships in Reading were thrown into chaos this afternoon when midway through the Steve Davis-Jimmy White quarter-final, a young child stood up in the audience and shouted, "Hold on! All this game is 2 blokes hitting some balls around a table for a couple of hours. Where's the entertainment value in that?" The rest of the audience realised how foolish they'd been for so many years, and the disillusioned players were unable to continue. Later on, the British Open Golf Championship was thrown into chaos today when, as Nick Faldo prepared to putt on the 17th green, a young child stood forward from the group of spectators and shouted, "What a swizz! This is just a load of old blokes in sweaters knocking a ball about with a stick." Faldo was cited later in the bar, mumbling, "What's the point of it all?" into an empty glass.
News now. Today's meeting of the United Nations was cast into turmoil when midway through a heated discussion, a small child shouted from the public gallery, "Hang on a minute, this is just a load of old men shouting at each other with those things in their ears. It's all quite pointless." Delegates were visibly shocked. There was a small outbreak of confusion, then everybody just resigned and wandered home. Later, who pays for our cheese? But first, the unspeakably awful and filthy world of police corruption. A special report now from our reporter, Gavin Strength.
In a surprise development, it was announced this morning that the Special Investigations Unit of Greater Doncaster's Police Force was to be disbanded. The region's Chief Constable, Sir Michael Cog Lucifer, explained the move.
We investigated the West Dorset Flying Squad and we found out that they were completely innocent. Indeed, those who had given evidence against the Flying Squad, 350 members of the public, we then found were guilty.
And what evidence do you have against these 350 people?
None of them were churchgoers. We know that.
Does that mean that they're guilty, that they don't go to church?
No, but we have asked them whether they do go to church, and they have all claimed they do not. And I believe that is more than coincidence.
For one man in particular, the news that the unit is to be disbanded could spell the end of a 10-year nightmare. Lionel Cosgrave is a 23-year-old local pizza delivery man.
I've just grown to notice over the years. I seem to have spent rather a lot of time being arrested, interrogated, thrown in prison, and I don't know why.
Could you tell me what was your first arrest, Lionel?
I was charged with impersonating a Chelsea pensioner. Though I was in the area at the time at Chelsea, I can't do many impersonations. Well, I can do Michael Crawford.
Lionel Cosgrave, guilty Cosgrave, has been indeed arrested 46 times.
Could you tell me a little bit about your forensic scientist, Freddie Vincent?
Dr. Freddie Vincent.
I don't actually think he is a doctor.
No, he's not. But he calls himself one, and who are we to disillusion the lad? He's a young man, he's a God-fearing man, a man who, in his own words, cacks himself before the Lord, and I respect that and I admire it.
I talked to Dr. Vincent in his home laboratory.
You can always sort of make something look like something else. If I take a football and paint it green, you might say, oh, it's a giant P, but, scrape away the paint and, underneath, oh dear me, it's a football.
I've been arrested for charged with fitting up terrorist bombings, poisoning wells.
And what actual evidence do they use against you for these crimes?
Apparently they found my blood all over policemen's fists and boots, and apparently my fingerprints have been found all over my hands. I question this forensicness myself.
There's a bloke called Lionel Cosgrove.
Well, yes, I was about to come on to Lionel Cosgrave.
Guilty Lionel.
Lionel Guilty Cosgrave.
Yeah.
Could you give me some proof that you actually found against Lionel? I mean, how do you know that Lionel was in fact a bomb maker?
Well, this is interesting. Ink was found on swabs taken from his fingers, and ink, believe it or not, is one of the most vital parts in making of bombs.
But ink can come from a number of things. I mean, what about pens, for instance?
I think we're splitting hairs at this point. I mean, what kind of pens?
Corruption is like a plague, and if you don't lance it, like a boil, it can spread like some form of satanic cancer.
What do you mean by cancer? Some sort of illness?
A disease, certainly. Potentially.
In what form does this disease take?
Well, your hair falls out and your skin flakes off.
No, I'm talking about the actual corruption of the police.
Oh, sorry.
On the hour, holding up a net in the strong breeze.
Finance news. The Minister for 11 says 7 today. Crawburn Knuckle 5 up plenty. Decisive ingrowth Weeb and a half. And the FTSE index closed down, shut, finished, good. Now for the next 45 seconds, Radio 4 is splitting wavelengths. On long wave you can hear Prayer Desk, while here on FM we continue with full coverage of events. Terence Stamp, there's a strange synchronicity.
On Thursday, my wife, Joyce, got her arm caught in a threshing machine, and it was ripped clean off. Ah, ow, she cried, my arm. Oh, you fool, I said. You think you suffer now without your arm. Then let us consider how much greater was the suffering of our Lord in his anxiety over the moneylenders.
To be ramming 7 acres of underfelt into the hole. Terence Stamp.
On the hour.
But first, the news. A Safeway's bag stuffed with over 200 kilos of pure cocaine was handed into a Humberside police